All right, welcome everybody for this breaking news edition of SCV Chat. I'm your host for the evening, Moose. I'm joined by the glorious leader of the SCV, our Commander in Chief, Jason Boshers. How are you doing tonight, Commander?
I'm doing well, Moose. How are y'all doing tonight?
Oh, can't complain. Just a bit cold.
Oh, yes, sir. It is here in Middle Tennessee.
Mm.
In case the good people out there in SCV chat land do not know, uh, the Moose and his daddy, Mr. Forrest,
You?
the voice of the SCV, are up in Middle Tennessee. They worked on the museum today. Did a lot of things there at HQ. Appreciate them coming up and working. And I just want to thank you, Moose, and the voice of the SCV, Mr. Forrest Dawes, for coming up and all the hard work y'all are doing. And I want to thank you for it.
Well, it has been an honor to come up, Commander, and do some work. We want to thank you for letting us have that honor. We've greatly enjoyed coming up today and getting to do it, and we are looking forward to being able to do it tomorrow.
Yep. I think y'all told me you're going to be there for a couple more days, and it's going to be good to see y'all there. And I'll see y'all again tomorrow.
Ooh,
Yep. Yep. If you don't mind, first thing I'd like to start with is to say every time I hear that intro, I want to say thank Carl Jones for doing such a wonderful job on that intro. It's I don't have that kind of talent. I'm sure I probably hum in the wrong key, can't carry a tune in the bucket. Um, I carried a guitar one time, you know. I'm not one of these people that has any kind of musical talent, and for him to put together something like that is really top notch. And thank you, Carl, for that. And every time I listen to the intro, um, reminds me of Carl. Uh, Now I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there in SCV chat land. Now it's the time of season that we celebrate a birth. And I just want to wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas. And I hope everybody has a good new year. And I hope 2023 is better than 2022. And I say, not only to let's just hope, because hope is not a plan, let's get a plan and let's work at making 2023 better than 2022. And just want to wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas. A couple of things, if you don't mind me jumping on and beginning to talk about. Is that what you want? Okay.
oh yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, anytime you want to jump in with anything, please do. One of the things I want to talk about is I've had a conversation with Chaplain in Chief Gary Carlisle. And Gary Carlisle wants me to remind everybody of the last roll. And that is when a member has crossed the river and is resting in the shade of the trees. This is an opportunity for any camp adjutant, camp commander, really falls under the camp adjutant responsibility, but also the camp commander if your camp adjutant doesn't do it. But somebody needs to go on to the SCV website and download the last form and send in a last form for our member. For the member that has passed, there's many things that this does. First of all, it lets the national organization know that a member has passed, and they can be recognized by being in the Confederate Veteran Magazine. And then they will be recognized at the national reunion during the memorial service. Now, those are just them getting recognized, those two places. It also helps for the bookkeeping and keep stuff from being sent to them. It's just the right thing to do. We want to honor them. We want to remember them. We want to say those names because they always say that there are three deaths. The first one is the physical death in which the body stops responding. And then it is the point in time in which you go in the ground and nobody ever sees you anymore. And then there is the third and final death, and that's where nobody says your name anymore. And this is an opportunity for us to say their name and let's remember them and let's honor them. So this is to all the camp adjutants, camp commanders, and I'm going to ask the brigade commanders because working within a division, you learn that brigade commanders are so critical on getting the information up and down the scale because stuff needs to come down and stuff needs to come up, and the brigade commanders are such an incredibly important cog in that wheel that lets brigade commanders talk to your camp commanders and your camp adjutants, and keep up with this stuff and make sure that that stuff gets pushed on to us. um, and division commanders keep up with it, and I know even some division commanders that send their own letters and send their own acknowledgments, but let's just keep up with the last rolls because we want those names said. Um, and also during this time, since we're mentioning about something concerning this, I would like to talk about the CiC that we have in our organization. We have been talking about this for, been bringing it up a lot over the last 6 months. One of the things we need to do is always remember our CiC and our afflicted this time of year. And we also need to be mindful of the caregivers because they are so important. And there is a huge weight that is placed on the caregivers. So we all know people. How about we take a moment and let's just reach out during this time, and let's be brothers in arms, and whatever differences or whatever strifes might be coming between people, let's just kind of put them aside. First of all, they never need to go past any kind of deal, but just especially during a time like this. And you've read a lot of my articles, and my articles have talked about us not coming out after each other and being good to each other. And I realize that not everybody likes me, and I realize that there's people that I don't like in this organization, but I'm still going to work with them, and I'm not going to sabotage them and not going to work against them. And I think that that's one of the things that, as gentlemen and as those of us who have people who really want to keep the charge, and to keep the charge is to say, well, okay, I don't agree with you on that, but I'm still going to work with you for the betterment of the organization. And there comes a time we have to think about the betterment of the organization as well as, well, what does God like? First of all, God doesn't like his people going out at each other. He just doesn't like that. And the Bible talks about that. So let's just be mindful of those who have lost loved ones, those that are sick or afflicted this time of year, and those that are taking care of them. Um, Now, that's enough sad news. I would like to talk about some good news that I was handed today. I was handed a piece of paper by the historian in chief, Forrest Dawes. Now, Forrest has taken upon the mantle of this historian in chief, and he has done an excellent job. As you can see, he's already worked up there at Elm Springs. He's already doing his own research, and he has come up with this. And he handed me this piece of paper, and I have read it. And I just want you to let you know that I'll fully endorse it. I think it is a wonderful idea. I think it is a great thing that we need to be doing. And I'm going to tell you why before we get into it. First of all, we are an historical organization. We remember history and we honor history. Well, one of the things that we need to remember is we need to document and honor the history we are creating every day. History as us, the members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And what he has come up with, and it's called the SCV Confederation Wide Camp History Project Proposal. And right now, he would like to begin with phase one. And I just want to let Forrest know that I'm 100% behind this. And it is to have each member. I don't normally read, I normally just talk. I don't read, but I'm reading because I want to get it right. Have each camp scan and save all applications and accompanying this documentation for their for their new members each year. So, in other words, when you get a brand new member, document it, save it off. And that's something as an adjutant that I do. Every time I get a member comes into the camp, I have my box, and my box is I keep copies of everything in there. And then every so often I go to my computer and I back up everything. It's just one of those things that we need to do. I've got it saved off for my own use in case somebody comes back in 5 years and says, I'd like to rejoin. Well, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can just go back into my box and pull their stuff out and get going again. And one of the great things that we need to do is we need to be documenting everything that we do. And this is including the camps. The camps out there, if you have a memorial service, document it. Take some pictures. And write a little article to put about it in your camp newsletter and save off that article and save your camp newsletters and save your camp minutes and all these things that pertain to your camp and put them on a flash drive. And then I'm going to go to paragraph 3 and send this flash drive to their prospective division historian. Now, every division needs to have a historian out there. And I know what some people are going to say. Well, we don't do enough to have that position. Really? Do you have a camp meeting? Do you have minutes? Have you gone to any kind of reunions? Have you hosted a reunion? Have you had a memorial service? Do you have a color guard or honor guard that goes out and fires? If you have these things, then you have history. Your camp has history, and you need to be documenting that history and save it, because look at what we're doing all the time now. We're going back and looking at things that were 50, 75, 150 years ago, trying to find documentation on all of this. And why can't we make it available so those in the future are able to find things quickly? And if we document it as we go, then I think that's a great thing. And that is what he is talking about doing in phase 1. Let's not worry about the past. The past is what it is. Let's start right now and let's start documenting everything from that you start from this coming year. Start January 1 and just start documenting all the way through. What about detached camps, camps that have no division? Get those and send those to your Army commander. You do not have a division commander. You have an Army commander and an Army councilman. And to be quite blunt, the job of the Army councilman is to work with the members in each camp. The job of the Army commander is to work with the division commanders, lieutenant commanders, and maybe some camp commanders if the need be, but is to work with the division commanders. So if you have this, send it to your Army commander, document it. Still take pictures, everything you do, document it. And if you've already started, and it's going to be easy for you to compile something something you've done over the last handful of years, document it. Because now I know that we are not in our fiscal year. Okay. I know that. Our fiscal year ended up in July 31st. So we started our new year on August the 1st. But we all know for a lot of people and a lot of things, the calendar year is a good start for people. So just start documenting everything, everything you're going to do from here on out. And if you can pull it all back together, then pull it all back together and get that in. And it says in here, if the division has no historian, send it to the Army historian. Now, not all armies have historians. I had one when I was Army commander. I can't say about anybody else. If there's, contact your Army councilman or Army commander and ask them who the Army historian is and send it to them. If they don't know who it is, then can't they appoint one? I believe they can. I did. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. But let's go ahead and let's start preparing all of this. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for working with the armies and divisions. Our history important. It'll give good documentation from this point forward. Thank you, Forrest, and thank you for coming up with this idea. This is something the Tennessee Division Tennessee Division SCV has been working on for a number of years, is to make sure we get everything documented. There's plenty of things that camps do that can be documented to say that they even existed. What would we give if we had a set of minutes from some UCV camp or some bivouac? Take the Joseph Bahama bivouac that was in Murfreesboro. What if you had a stack of their minutes to go by? That's the reason why all of this stuff is so important. So, and Army historians would then send them to the historian in chief, which at this point in time is Mr. Forrest Dawes, who shall in turn save all contents to an external hard drive to be stored at HQ. So Forrest gave that to me, and yes. Good gracious, well, I've just drawn a blank on something. I was going to talk about something and I just drew a blank because I didn't write it down. And I just thought about it just a few minutes before we went on air. And that is the fact that because we are a 501c3, and I'm forgetting the actual term, there is a term for what I'm talking about. Because we're a 501c3 and we do outreach work to communities, and we do outreach. We work with other organizations. We need to document that and send that to national so we can send it in and let you know this is what we're doing as a 501c3. It helps with everything you're doing for being a 501c3 to have documented that you have done this work. And that's the reason why all this stuff is important. Because a few years back, and I believe it was when Adam first became executive director, because we had not had enough stuff turned in, we lost that benefit because we did not have enough stuff turned in. So we started, letting everybody know, you do something, send it in, let us know. And people say, well, I don't want the credit. Well, okay, you don't want the credit. Give the credit to the camp. Give the credit to whoever. Credit isn't important here because I've always believed it doesn't matter if you don't care who gets the credit. You're amazed at how successful you will be because there's a lot of people who only do stuff if they can get credit for it. If you don't care, you just do the work, then it's amazing what all that can be accomplished. And that's the reason why that do these things, document them. And then when they end up at HQ and it comes time again to turn this paperwork in, instead of us having to find things, we've got to send them a jump drive with all of the stuff on it. So there's benefit to us doing it. We just need to do it. Do you have something you wanted to add?
No, sir. I do want to stress the importance of making sure that this is a organization wide project, from camp historians to even if you have a brigade historian, especially division historians like myself, will need to step up and make sure we get these flash drives into our Army historians. Or if your Army does not have a historian, go ahead and send it into the historian in chief. Uh, we need to make sure that your camp's history is preserved, and why the Sons of Confederate Veterans fight is preserved.
I agree 100%. And I was just looking on some of the comments. I've been talking and I hadn't read the comments. I found out if I talk, I have to turn the comments off so I don't get distracted. Ron Kennedy has made a wonderful point, and I touched on it. 100 years from now, folks will be looking back to see what we were doing during the Reconstruction modern era. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And, how would you like for some of that to be talked about and your name mentioned? Let's just say 100 years from now, we'll use that. and somebody's going back through something and they're talking about the history of it, and they mention you or your father working together on a project, and we talk about I just mentioned the third death. Well, your name is spoken again. You're still alive. The third death hasn't happened. So that's the reason why all of this is important. All we got to do is do it. And I think it's important. He handed it to me today. I read it. I believe in it. I just think we need to do it. And it's going to be left up to the people out there to do it. I can't write your camp history. Harrison here, he can't write the camp history for the camp I'm in. It's not, he can't do it all. And it's left up for us to do our own little bit. And if we start now and move on, then there's going to come a time that somebody, we hope, will pick up the past and try to pick up. Then we have to get started at some point. Come on, guys. It's just, this isn't, we already documented on Facebook. Why not just go? Everybody documents everything on Facebook. Already know that. I mean, it's just so just go ahead and save it off on a drive, write a little something on about it and send it on. And just, create a folder that is going to say, boy, that's a weird look. You all right, Harrison?
Yes, sir. I saw a comment. I'm going to try to remember to speak on in a second.
Okay. Well, I forgot where I was, so you go ahead and speak on it now.
Well,
you had this look on your face. You had this look on your face, and I'm going, okay.
I'm going to have to go back and see this look now. David Pope said that he still has a charter member around, and General McCain spoke at their modern chartering. If you still have a charter member around, I would recommend sitting down with them and sketching, especially if you are already doing this first step of preserving your current camp history. If you have a charter member that is still around of your camp, talk to them, get as much information about the camp's chartering, rechartering that you can. Because, charter members are very rare these days for some of the older camps. And anytime we can get that history and get those members down there, we need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once they cross the river and rest in the shade of the trees, every bit of that information is gone. I cannot tell you, as I have gotten older, how many times I have just wanted to slap myself silly because I did not take the time to go and talk to people when I had an opportunity. I grew up with World War II vets. I did talk to two of them. There were others, and I didn't. And I'd give anything now just to sit with them and talk to them, not to even talk about the war, but just to talk about life and history and what they went through as kids and the Great Depression and all that, because we're losing that. And there's going to come a time that your great grandchildren are going to want to know about Harrison and Forrest and want to know about them. What did they do? So that's one of the things that it's just one of the things we need to do. Yes, that gentleman needs to be interviewed. Yes, he does. And I agree. And David Pope, we'll work on it and we'll make it happen. Yes, we need to interview our real grandsons. That is one of the things that a group of people has already talked about doing. And I think they have already talked to a few of them already to try to get them on video. And the thing is, first question they asked me was, what do you want to know? What kind of questions do you want to ask them? Well, I just want them to talk. It's it is, it's sometimes I think I watch interviews and all of that. And somebody goes to interview somebody and they take 45 seconds to ask a question. Well, if you take 45 seconds to ask a question, if you asked it to me, I'd have forgot how you started it. Okay. Because I have gotten preoccupied with something else. Just, kind of look at them and say, What happened next? You know, what did you do when you were 9? Just these simple kind of stuff like that. It's when was the first time you rode in a car? I mean, there were some people that I knew that was a legitimate question. When was the first time you rode in a car? When was the first time you left the state? Don't ask 45-minute questions. Or 45-second questions. And that's just general conversation, and you just say, okay, do you remember when you started? Do you remember who's your earliest camp commander you remember? Well, guess what? If this gentleman has been in since 1968, he's going to say a name that hadn't been said in a while. And that's going to be a good thing. And that's the whole point of this. So I didn't mean to go on and on about it. I know we've taken up quite a bit of time, but I think it is a very good project. And I would like to see us get started on it. I am in full support of it. Forest Dawes, I think this is a great idea. And I will help you in any way I can to help this get pushed along. We'll mention it again here on SCV Chat in the future. And then, I'll talk about it in one of my articles that's coming up. Might even ask you to write a little something in the Confederate Veteran to put in. So when Frank needs to find a spot to fill in a little bit, he's got something in there to fill in. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Okay. Do you need to take a Pop-Tart break, or are we too early?
You can keep going for a bit.
Well, I only got one more thing.
Okay, if you
And
want
then,
to.
well, and then I know we got one more thing. And then I think there was going to be a gag reel that was going to be played.
That's up to you and the people. We can do the gag reel tonight, or we can wait, considering we're both in suits. But that's up to everybody else and you.
Well, I mean, we can watch it in that, but when we were talking today, I said, well, since of what we're about to talk about, we'll be dressed up. Then I did say we'd take our ties off and our coats off, and we'd watch the gag reel.
Okay.
So if you want to, we can do all that. So, the thing is, we have an opportunity here, and I know there's a lot of people that really love to see bloopers and the fails and stuff like that. So let's not deprive. Yes. Yeah. So if you need to take a Pop-Tart break, yeah, Carl Jones says gag reel. I agree with Carl. So if you want to take a Pop-Tart break, take a Pop-Tart break. When you come back, we'll cover this last bit and then gag reel.
All right. Well, like always, everybody, our Pop-Tart breaks are sponsored by Southern Flags and Quilts. With Southern Flags and Quilts, you're not sending your money to some Yankee that wants to destroy our heritage. You're not sending your money to someone overseas. You're sending your money to someone here in the South, and what some people call the heart of Dixie, Alabama. I really think the heart of Dixie is Mississippi, but that's beside the point. She makes historically accurate flags, great quality flags, and if you don't believe me, here are just a couple of pictures of her work. Just outstanding quality, historically accurate. She puts her heart into it. This isn't a job for her. This is how she protects and proclaims the charge. And again, I'm speaking from experience, as she made the official SCV Chat flag. So make sure you go over to Southern Flags and Quilts and get your historically accurate Southern made flag today. Link is in the chat below. And without further ado, let us get in to our Pop-Tart break. We'll be right back.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Well,
Wow.
welcome back, everybody.
What a voice. If walls could talk, what a voice. I wrote that, and it they only changed a few piece of words here and there, and I had no idea when I wrote it. I figured they'd just chew it all to pieces, and then when they said they were going to use it, and then they put Forrest voice on there, I mean, it just killed it. Just an absolute great deal, and it's Forrest's voice that makes it. His delivery on it was perfect. So needless to say, that's one of my favorite ones. The one about Connor, but it's just he's not on here, so I'm going to talk about him for just a little bit.
Oh, if I had it loaded, I would play it.
Well, one of the main reasons that when I was talking with Connor, we put out this press release on Friday, and unfortunately, as typical, we don't have a lot of people that pick it up. But this is a press release that we put out. We have worked on this for quite a while. We don't want to, you don't just snap react. You take your time and you develop a reaction. Because a lot of times when something comes at you real quick and you snap back, it's not the right thing. You need to formulate something. You need to work on something. And we did. So I don't know if you have the press release up there. I see it scrolling through.
It's
When we begin,
scrolling.
no, go ahead. Okay, it's scrolling.
Yes, sir. And I'm trying to see if I can get a link to everybody.
Okay, the when we began this conversation, and it was having to do with the renaming of the bases, was how it originally started, and then you had the naming commission to get together, and they were going to rename the bases, and they come up with these ideas, and then became the conversation about removing the Reconciliation Memorial that is in Arlington National Cemetery. This beautiful piece of artwork was created by Moses Ezekiel. It was President William McKinley was the one who wholeheartedly endorsed this, and the 56th Congress started it in June the 6th of 1901. They funded it. So you had this whole group of people that wanted to do this, and all of a sudden, and I'm not going to give anybody any screen time about who said what and who did what, that come out against this the memorial and was wanting to remove it. I'm struggling to come up with some right words, because every time I get to think about it, I start getting angry. And this is not something that you can't. You have to formulate, you have to talk about it, and you have to react reasonably. And then we got to talking about everything, and then we've come across some stuff from September of 2022. Was when first time I saw it, in which they were going to be asking our military, our soldiers, the people that are in the field out there defending us right now, in which they were saying due to inflation that they were going to be asking our soldiers, these people that are protecting us now, we were going to ask them to go on food stamps. And if Moose, if you want to start pulling some of that stuff up, you can. This isn't anything that is made up. I mean, when I started reading it and looking at it, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Here we are that due to inflation, we can't even pay the people that are protecting us, which brings into military readiness into mind. You know, what about the people? What about the families, the military families, and how they are affected by this? And then, you know, what kind of popped me in the mouth was they want to spend an estimated $61 million to rename the bases, and we can't even pay the soldiers. So this press release came out, and you'll notice my name on it, and you'll notice Donnie Kennedy's name on it. This is one of those things that I contacted him about, and I said, you know, and he read it. This has been read over by legal. Donnie has read it. His twin brothers read it. You know, this is just one of those things that I'm at a loss for words for. I wish I could. I know I'm kind of stammering on, and it's not because I don't have anything to say. It's I'm trying to say the correct thing in the correct way, because some of this at this point makes absolutely no sense at all to me. So what you saw or what got out there on Friday, and it was put out through social media. It was not put on the Telegraph, and I'm going to say this. We have a lot of members that are on the Telegraph, and what we have found out was if we send something on the Telegraph and then we send something else on the Telegraph, there's a lot of people that will unsubscribe. And instead of just taking the two things, they will just unsubscribe. So we talked about this, and we said, well, let's just put the press release on social media, and hopefully it will make the rounds out there. And it has made some. Where I've gone, and I've only had a brief opportunity to look today. I've been dealing with computer issues and phone issues, and I haven't been on. I think I was on Facebook for a little while the other day, and today was the first day I've been back on it. So I haven't spent any time on there. And I've seen where it's been picked up a few places here and there. You know, go onto the SCV group page and, you know, find it and put it out there. We need people to know that this is going on. Now, the reason why that when this come out on Friday, Connor contacted me, and I said, yeah, what do you have planned on Monday? And he said they had the gag reel. And I said, well, I'll come on for a few minutes, not knowing I was going to be on 42 minutes later. I was expecting to be off by now, but as usual with me, I always run longer. When he contacted me about it, he was, well, do we need to say something? And I said, well, yeah, we'll come on because I need to prep you for what's coming next. We're in the process right now. You know, we got the one-click politics, and there is going to be a piece that is going to come out on social media. It is going to be also, I'll come out on the Telegraph. So I'm asking people, if you see this on the Telegraph, please don't unsubscribe. Okay. We're not, our intent is to not blow up your email, you know, and if you get something, what you're going to get is you're going to get this press release, and it's going to be modified a little bit. There's going to be some different wording, some different sentences here and there, and then you will see at the bottom a link for the one-click politics. Now you're going to be able to contact them by email. It is also going to go out on Twitter. You'll be able to respond to them by phone. And you will be able, and there's a few people that we're going to ask to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just talk about this for a little bit. When we were talking to the One Click Politics people, they said in how the politicians react to this, the one that gets the most recognition are the videos. And we're going to be asking a few people that will do videos. Now they can't be very long; they can only be 30 seconds. Then that's the reason why I'm not doing a video. I couldn't say what I needed to say in 30 seconds. There's some people out there who can cram everything in on 30 seconds, and we're going to ask those people if they will reach out and and do the video, and we'll get that to them. Then they said the next are the phone calls. Now we're not going to. There's going to be a script for you to go by, and I typed up the script. And if you don't like it, you can throw a rock at me the next time you see me. But if you want to use it, you can. It's there for you to go by. I'm not putting words in your mouth. It's just a script for you to read, and you can form your own thing to say, or if you want to, you can just read it. And I'm going to leave that up to you. And then he said the third most impactful thing is email. And there's going to be an email that's going to be in there. So if you want to do the email, you click on that, you enter your information, which is going to be your name, your address, and all that. And it is going to automatically pick your politicians and send it to them. And one of the things that we are also doing is we're contacting also in this, the people who are on these committees. There's 2 other committees that we're going to be contacting with this as well. So people have said, what are you doing about the Arlington deal? Well, this is just phase 1. There is another phase that we're currently working on. We're going to be working on. We're currently working on now. There's several ways to work on this, and we're going to work on it in all of those ways. We're not picking one path and sticking on it. We're going to pick one way, we're going to stick that way, and then we're going to go this way, and then kind of like Forrest did at Franklin, where he was doing that pincer movement, going around the right at the Harpers River. That's what we're going to be doing here. We're just going to keep just doing everything we can to get at them. And this is, and I'm just going to be blunt. When I saw this recommendation that they were going to be going after them, and it's a beautiful memorial, the Reconciliation Memorial. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, it's kind of like, well, do you realize that there's not going to be anybody who has, if you haven't seen Monument Avenue in Richmond before all that come down, you're not going to be able to see it. It's not going to be like it was. And it's the same thing with this. They tell you, and they told us, well, as long as it is in a cemetery, it's fine. Well, here is one that is in a cemetery, and they want to get rid of it. And it is a reconciliation memorial. And there happens to be people buried there. And there's many things that we're going to be working at on this. But I just wanted to let you know the whole point I'm coming on, and here we are 48 minutes later. The whole point of coming on was to, yes, pay attention to the press release, and then to come on and to talk to you that our next step you're going to be getting within a day or 2. And I'm asking you to please, if you say, well, what are we doing? This is an opportunity for you to do something. And yes, Ron Kennedy is right. The question was, and I think we actually had the question on SCV chat, which was, how do people feel about spending $61 million to take down memorials instead of paying the people that are protecting us? 60% said they were against it. You had 14% of the people that were undecided. So all of this is going to be coming out, and we're asking you, if you want to do something, do something. You're going to have we're not taking 30 minutes of your time. If you want to take 30 minutes of your time, we'll do something. But all you have to do is pick up the phone call, send an email. If you just did those two things, as you know, the end of the year is coming in. Things are starting to get wrapped up for this. Senate and House of Representatives, it's all getting wrapped up for this Congress. New people will be sworn in and will begin next year. So we're going to have work ahead of us. So just want to let everybody know, prepare for this. Please don't treat it like it's junk email. And please don't unsubscribe from the Telegraph. If you want to know what's going on, you can come on SCV chat and find out. And then you can also go to the Telegraph and see what's coming out on there. I've taken up 50 minutes more than what I meant to, or 40 minutes more than what I meant to. You get where I'm coming from, Moose?
Oh, I get it. And it's time to stand up, people. It's time to help out. It's full guns ahead on this. So when this email comes and when we get ready to go full at it, we need everybody to stand up, get all the SCV members you can involved, friends of the SCV, anybody. It's time to take a stand.
Yeah, it's time. And, people say, well, what's National doing? I can tell you right now, I don't know that a day has gone by that I have not spoken to Ed Phillips, that I have not either received an email from one of the Kennedy twins or talked to one of the Kennedy twins, that Scott Hall, our National JAG, I've received stuff from him. He sends stuff to me. There's a lot of things that we're trying to do. We're not just going to piecemeal something together. We want to, if we're going to fight, let's fight to win. And that is our mentality on this. And I want to thank the ones who have worked on this, the press release, and what is going to be coming out for the One Click Politics. The Kennedy twins have seen it. Scott Hall's seen it. Ed Phillips has seen it. And it is, what can we do to make our most effective fight? We're not just going to, I made the Franklin analogy earlier. We're just not going to line up at the base of Winstead Hill and just go across through there. Was it heroic? Yes. Was it a gutsy play? Yes. Did it get us anywhere? Got a whole lot of great men dead. And, pretty much wound up the Army of Tennessee at that point. And that's not what I want to do here. That's not what any of these people want to do here. The ones I'm working with on this, none of these want to do it. But if you say, what are you doing? Well, this is what we have done. And we're going to ask you, because they're your politicians. They're not going to listen. Somebody in Texas isn't going to listen to me. But my local politician will, because I vote. And that's where this is going to come in. So, it's time for us to step up. You're going to be getting something. Please do something with it.
Yes, and as soon as we start making our way on this, SCV chat will let everybody know as soon as the quote unquote attack is ready. Again, this is the time to stand up. This is the time to do something with us. Jeffrey asked a good question. Will this be shareable with non-SCV members?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Send this out. Because this is, if you read our press release, there is nothing that is Confederate related in it. It is just simple facts and a protection of our history. That was the point of it. This is just a protection of our history. If you haven't read the press release, get on Facebook and find it. If you need it to be sent to you, contact somebody. HQ's got it. I've got it. Y'all got it. Come on. We can get it out there. If not, you can see this thing that's going to be coming out the next day or two, because we got something ahead of us that we need to do. And I want to thank everybody that has worked with me on it. The Kennedy twins, or whether the Kennedy twins, They're their own adjectives, adverbs, nouns, pronouns. You know, they're the Kennedy
World
twins.
famous.
And you know, and then Ed Phillips has just been, he's just one of those great guys that I can bounce stuff off of. He bounces stuff off me, and sometimes we just talk and get figuring out what we need to do. And I just want to say, this is what we're going to do. Get this out to everybody. Yes, sons, wives of sons, girlfriends, or whatever. Get this out. It's not SCV. We're using one-click politics to get it out, but this can come from anybody. It can come from just somebody who feels that we need to preserve our history, our nation's history, and that somebody who feels like not only that, we want our representatives to be fiscally responsible. I mean, you're not paying the people protecting you, but you're going to spend $61 million to rename bases. Is that being fiscally responsible? Are we watching our money? So I'm going to be quiet for a while in case you want to roll the gag reel, unless somebody else has a question about anything. Guys, this is coming. This is going to be our opportunities.
I'll wait and see on the questions for a minute. When the link does come out, remember, if you are on the Telegraph, on our email list, do not share that to people. Copy the link and then send it out to people, because if they unsubscribe, they're unsubscribing
It
to you.
unsubscribes you. Yes.
So be careful with that. Again, SCV Chat will get the news out as soon as National gives the green light. So stay tuned on that. Wait and see if anybody has any other questions. You have something to say, Commander?
Yeah, just real quickly, I want to again remind everybody, that's phase one. There's more to come.
There's a good bit to come. Looking forward to it. I don't think we got any more questions. Elliot does say something pretty interesting on Grant. That might be a video we have to make for our politicians to remind them the type of person that General Grant was. Let's see here. I'm going to check.
And you know, I think it was General Order number 11 was what he did about that. And that is just another one of those things that can be talked about. Right now, I just really want to focus on the fight that is ahead of us. This is one of those things that you can send somebody on, and somebody can write up and type up and video or do whatever. Yep, and get your compatriots to sign up for the Telegraph. Yes. So the more people we have doing it, the better off we're going to be. If they hear from 100 people, we're not going to get anything. If they hear from 1,000, still not going to get anything. We have 30,000 members in this organization. Most of the men in this organization have a significant other, a child, something. So we have the potential of, 70, 80,000. Well, you can start getting 10,000 of them out there. You'll start getting notices. Somebody will have to pay attention with it.
Couldn't agree more, Commander. Let's see here. Elliot said he'll send me the information. Thank you, sir. I guess without further ado, I want to thank everybody for watching. The gag reel is pretty long, so we'll save it for Thursday. It will go live by itself. I think I figured out how to do that. So make sure you tune in Thursday. And remember, SCV Chat is on break. This was a news breaking episode, so you will not see us again until January unless some more breaking news comes around.
Well, I feel bad about that. I did not mean to cut into the gag reel.
No,
I did not. No,
you were the star.
Didn't want to get in the gag reel.
Oh, you're in the gag reel, so get ready for that.
Oh, okay.
Army of Tennessee Councilman Carl Jones has a point. Every member needs to at least ask 10 people. Come on, everybody. Let's set a good bar. Let's set a good example. Let's fight for our ancestors that deserve to be fought for. Again, at the beginning of this episode, we talked about starting to copy down and have our camp's history. And our Chief of Heritage Operations said something very interesting to me. You know, our heritage is in extreme danger these days. I compare it to us fighting a cold civil war, if you will, for our heritage. There's not any rifles that are going to be drawn on anybody, but this is a fight of the mind and the fight of whose history will win. True history or the history that has been twisted by the victors. And so, what can you say 20, 30 years down the line that you did to fight this? That you did to protect the cause of your ancestors and protect your ancestors themselves. I posted this the other day. Your ancestors, people, were not the villains. We need to remember that. We need to fight for them because they're not here to fight for themselves. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Remember to share. Go ahead, Commander.
I want to thank it like you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and watching this. I want to. Yep, we got a Confederate Legion update. Myself and Mr. Ron Kennedy will be back the first Thursday in January for our piece. Then want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Let's prepare for a good new year. Let's be mindful of all of those that are sick and afflicted around us and all of those that are taking care of those that are sick and afflicted. So, everybody, I want to thank you. And I again want to apologize. I was thinking this was something that might just take a few minutes. As usual, I went rambling on. And because I figured, well, we can still have the gag reel. It appears that I've messed that up too. Sorry about that.
No, sir. This was the serious episode that needed to happen. This needed to be like this. I'm very happy that you were able to come on, Commander.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And again, everybody, share this to your SCV groups. I share this to a lot of SCV groups, but I'm in the Mississippi Division, so a majority of the SCV groups I'm in are in the Mississippi Division. So make sure you share this out. Get this as much information as out there as you can. And remember, the first Thursday of the month, we will have Commander's comments on. We will have our Chief of Heritage, Ron Kennedy, on, and our Commander-in-Chief. And remember that the third Thursday in the upcoming January will also be a Confederate Legion update by our Chief of Heritage Operations. So make sure to tune in for that. Make sure you keep an eye on the SCV Chat Facebook page, as we will either post more breaking news or hopefully some other things coming soon. So without further ado, I guess it's all that's left to say is remember, chat heads, no Fumar in the elevator. Good night, everybody.
Be Southern.